Hello everyone, welcome to a new video, and today we're gonna dive again into urban sketching. Last week I already made a video about sketching outdoors, but in this week's video I want to focus more on the techniques that I use for sketching on the go. In the last video I talked in a general way about some options, what I think it's important to pay attention and to be on the lookout for. But in this video I really want to focus on the techniques, on the tools and the best way to use them. So to start the sketch I'm using a Micron pen, and this will be the pen that I'm gonna use for the base of the sketch because it's waterproof and we can later on work with watercolor on top without have the lines all blurred. I want to really emphasize in this video how important it is to be patient and to look good to your reference, to the house in this case that you are drawing or anything else. Just really try to understand what you see and try to be accurate with your lines and intentional with your lines, and take pauses, observe, and just be very conscious when you select a line and decide to do a mark on your drawing. In this stage of the base lines, because my house that I was painting was a very new house on top and was just freshly painted, there was not much texture or not much details, so I really needed to be precise with my lines because you don't want to have way too many lines that will then create this sense of texture that is not really there. We can use those lines and way too many lines if we want to create some kind of texture. For example, in the down part of the house we have a little bit more freedom because we have the rocks, so we can use more lines. We can almost use our sketch to try to navigate ourselves to the process of sketching and find out the correct lines. But for the top drawing I really wanted to be accurate and take my time and just draw the lines that I thought that were the correct lines. One important technique that I want to highlight here, and I really highly recommend for you to try, is blind drawing. I don't know if you know what is blind drawing. It's a very common practice that I did a lot during my study in university, but it is basically just drawing what you see without looking to the paper. It can be a bit of a mess when you look back to the result, but what this does very good is trains your brain to not rely on assumptions for the next moves, and to not have freedom to create by itself, and solo rely on what you see and pay attention to the different elements of the house. When you train this a lot, you start to apply these during your process, and if you also force yourself to do small exercises of 5 to 10 seconds of blind drawing during your urban sketching sessions, this will really just teach you how to look and improve the way you practice this technique. So I really recommend you to give it a shot, give it a go, and I think it's very important for urban sketching. So now we are moving to the watercolor stage. For this part I'm using two essential tools. The first one is a watercolor set. The one I'm using is a Sennelier watercolor, and it's a very nice watercolor set. It's quite pricier than most of watercolor sets, but the colors are very pigmented, which I really like, and I just have this one for a couple of years already, like 2 years I guess, and it's been lasting a long time, so it was very worth it, the price tag. The other tool that I'm using for this part is a water brush. This is a brush with a water reservoir, a water deposit inside, and this is very convenient for sketching outdoors. So we don't need to take any container with water with us. When I do the watercolor part, I like to start with the shadows. I like to start with the shadows because they instantly help me define the volume and structures of the house. By establishing the shadows first, the overall forms become much clearer, making it easier to build up colors and introducing variations between warm and cold tones. Again, take your time at this stage, I can't emphasize this enough. Observe the scene very careful. Where are the shadows? Are they sharp and well defined if it's a sunny day, or are they soft or undiffused if it's a cloudy day? And take in consideration that you can get all these shadows in one session. For example, on this painting I got first a very sharp shadow, especially you see it on that little cover on top of the door, and then as the day passed, and this was like 1 hour painting, the shadow turned much more diffused because some clouds start to show up. So yeah, just take in consideration that the scene you are painting never gonna stay the same. But well, understanding these elements will just improve your painting and just guide every step moving forward. So really look and really try to understand what is in front of you. So when we build up the shadows, again, I really like to be slow and patient. One of the great things about watercolor is that you can layer shadow on top of shadow, gradually building up the darker tones instead of trying to get them perfect in the first layer. I recommend not going straight for the darkest values right away. Instead, build them up slowly, letting the natural transparency of the watercolor work to your advantage. If you're working outside on a sunny day, the paint will dry very quickly, so use that to layer your colors gradually for more natural effects. Once the shadows are in place, we move to the warmer tones. This is, in this particular house, the color of the house was very specific, was kind of a grayish, with a little bit of green, kind of warm tone, but not really. So I took really a lot of time to mix the right color and trying to match this color as close as possible to the house that was in front of me. This step is really super important. While I like to use blue tones for the shadows as a more stylistic choice, I don't know if this is a word, stylistic choice, when it comes to the warmer tones and the lighter areas, I try to match them as accurately as possible. One of the key reasons when we choose a certain house is often the color palette. So getting those colors right makes a huge difference. It's half of the work of creating a well-executed urban sketch, in my opinion. So be patient when you are mixing the colors and try to aim for as close as much as possible to what you see. Other point that I want to talk about is about the way you can use your brush. And this is very important to keep in mind when you are sketching, because your brush tip can allow you to create a lot of textures, a lot of brush strokes with a lot of variety. When working with watercolor, you have the ability to control the water flow by pressing the middle of the water brush, which is a super good tool because this can help us to have more dry strokes, more wet strokes. And because of that, we can also take advantage of the texture of the paper, which in this case is fontaine paper, 300 grams, with a rough texture, with a lot of texture. And when we work with these varieties of dry brush or wet brush, we can get very nice textures that will help us emphasize the textures that we are actually seeing on the house. One other important thing that I also want you to keep in mind is that you don't need to paint every single detail of the house you see. The best thing I can recommend is, again, take your time and try to find the best technique that will suggest the texture you see. For example, in this sketch, and I do this in a lot of my sketches because I sketch a lot of old and rusty houses, I like to sprinkle a bit of watercolor on top of the stoned areas, in this case the down part of the house. And for this I just grab the tip of the brush and I just kind of hit it. I don't know how to explain, you can see it here in the video. I just go with my finger and I make it kind of splash little grainy little noise, and this just brings a lot more of that texture of granite that is the rocks used for this house in the down parts. This is just one of the many tricks you can use. You can use your paper like a tissue, so you can just dab it on top of the watercolor. That also will create textures. Just play with it and see what works best for you and for the thing you're painting. Also, another thing I want to mention, with a paper towel or a paper tissue, we can just work also as a eraser. So if you think you use too much watercolor or you made it too saturated brush stroke, you can dab the tissue on top of it, and you can just erase it a little bit and make it less saturated and strong. This is also very good if we want to make a dégradé between a very strong shadow and softly try to make it less strong. We can use our tissue to kind of erase also the edges of the brush stroke, and this will also make some kind of dégradé that will help us to make it less sharp or smooth. So now we go for the final details, and for these details I'm using a Pilot G-Tech. This is a brownish reddish pen. I don't really like to use black because I think the brown pen just brings a lot of the warmth that I want in my sketches. Again, this is also a personal choice, and it's just something that fits my style. You don't need to do the same. You can use every pen you want really for this part or for any part. This is just my personal preference. So for this stage, I'm focusing on observing the elements that need to be more defined. I don't focus on the lines of contour. I don't want this to be like a cartoon. So I really want to look to the house and see what details need to grab more the attention of the viewer of the drawing. So I just focus on those details. And I also try to look to the watercolor marks that I made in the prior stage, and try to get ideas and try to understand what those marks can teach me and guide me to make the next lines. So just take a good look to the drawing, to the house, and just start to define the things that you think have more relevance and importance in your drawing. A good thing about the line work stage is also a perfect moment to experiment with the lines and develop your own personal style. I like to use a lot of vertical lines, and sometimes I intentionally break my line, stopping in the middle and then continue again. This helps to create a more organic, dynamic feel to my sketches, at least in my opinion. One thing to remember, again, is outlining everything. In real life, objects don't have a thick contour nor outline, so yeah, focus on the details, focus on what you see, and try to just use the lines to just define those details. I also want to mention that you can use contour and you can outline certain things. It can be a style option. So yeah, there are no rules, but keep in mind that if you want to represent something in a more accurate way, those things don't have outlines or contours. And we are getting close to the end. I want to also talk a little bit about how to choose your subject. For this house, I wanted to have something with nice and sharp edges and well-defined shadows. Was something that I was looking for, and also I wanted a vertical look with the different kind of edges and surface, and I thought that this house had all that, including different variations in textures and everything. So it really called my attention, and I decided to just give it a go and sketch this house. So I want you to walk a lot, to go outside, try to understand what calls your own attention and what what inspires you and what makes you motivated to draw. And and that's a good way also to find what is important for you, what is not. And with time, all those things, all those decisions, those walks will inspire you and guide you to understand and find out what is your style and what is the thing that you like to sketch and that you like to bring in your memory and with you in a deeper way. Also, going back to the sketch here, you can always go back to the watercolors if you need to add certain details that you miss. So yeah, just don't be afraid of go back and forth in the drawing with the different tools, as long as they can help you to better get the result you want. There are no rules, just go for it. I hope you like this video. I hope it was helpful to understand new concepts. In the last video I talked in a more general way about urban sketching. In this video I tried to be a little bit more specific with my words and about the techniques I'm using. I don't know if it was really much different, but I hope still was enjoyable, and I hope it was helpful. It was helpful to learn something new, because that's the goal with these videos that I'm making. I also want to say that it's very nice to record these videos. It's not something that I'm used to do, but I enjoy a lot to look back to the process and understand my own decisions. A lot of things I don't even realize when I'm making these drawings. The pauses I do is something so strange to see. I'm not aware when I'm doing the process of the drawing, so when I look back to the footage, it's very funny to see. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I see you in the next one. Thank you very much. See you.